So this is going to be actually the last video in our little van build series. We had great plans for this van build series, and it didn't quite plan out the way we wanted it to. The build started to become more stressful. I think you might see in some of the clips, some of the stress was starting to build a little bit, and we had a deadline that we needed to be back on the road full time in the van, and the filming started to fall by the wayside as we were rapidly running out of time. And when you're trying to build and solve all the problems and all the bits that just sort of naturally go wrong, adding filming into that was taking up a lot of time and causing even more stress. And yeah, so this is the last set of footage that we really got from the van build. We will do a full van tour video once we found somewhere nice to show the van off, and then you guys can see the finished van. But anyway, this next video is mainly about sort of these cupboards, the overhead cupboards, which we kind of just made up as we went along, building those, but they actually turned out pretty well, pretty good. They turned out alright in the end.
Everything's starting to take shape. Little by little, nothing major has happened, nothing sort of drastically big has changed. Done a lot of painting, put in all the additional sort of side panel bits, the main bulk of them, the other one above the window, and even managed to just about eke out like an arch for the back there. The thing is, with that bit, we actually need that to still be relatively removable because we need access to like the reversing light up here and the reversing camera gubbins are all up there. So we need to be able to take that off and put it back on again potentially. So that's screwed in with a few screws. Just going to finish off some of the panelling in the shower room. I guess finish off some of the trims and all the aesthetic bits. And then fight with the solar panels and get them on the roof. So yeah, that's been a bit of a brain teaser trying to get that fitted. Alright.
Yeah, a little bit stressed.
How are you feeling today? That good, huh?
Yeah.
And then there was an issue with the batteries. There's not an issue with the batteries, but basically Brett installed a hookup cable and it keeps tripping the house electrics when we charge the battery. Which is a bit of a... But the batteries work, and the batteries run the lights, and that all works. So we're installing the solar panels so that hopefully we can charge the batteries a little bit more, but until we can find out the source of the problem for the hookup cable. That's his happy face, because everything started working again.
Because they're working, yeah.
It was like this weird roller coaster of emotion, because he was so happy he installed the batteries in the hookup, and it worked, and then he switched battery and it went boom.
Yeah, I'm still not 100% sure what that was about.
But you fixed it now?
Well, yeah, I changed some settings and it's all working now.
So we installed the solar panels.
Solar panels are in. They are working, giving us...
We didn't film that.
It was
incredibly stressful.
They're quite big and
yeah,
difficult to...
It was a full-on two slightly more one-man job. I held things in the true woman fashion. I held things. Yeah. Anyway, they're in is the important thing.
Here we go. Solar panels are in. Doing their thing. And we also fitted the 4G, 5G aerial signal extender Wi-Fi aerial thing. So that's on. So I think that's everything on the roof kind of done now. Roof vents are in, solar panels are on, and then we fitted these extra lights so that we can... So hopefully we can see when we're reversing in the dark. because we can never, when you've got such a long vehicle and it's dark and raining and stuff, the little reversing lights never seem to show up enough to actually be able to see behind you, so extra lights. Progress. Power, lots of power.
So anyway, today's job is finish off a few little bits and pieces this morning. It's still morning, but we're also going to try and fit the overhead cabinets above the batteries. So the biggest problem we have is that nothing in here is actually flat. So the wall itself, I don't know if you can tell, actually curves slightly that way, and obviously that way as well. And I think the plan is to run a batten, sort of a floating batten here at the front of the cabinet all the way into the wall here, and this will be tongue and grooved, and then maybe another batten right at the very back on the back wall running along, and we're going to build basically like a plate that sits over here so it can basically hang there without stuff falling out that corner. So I initially used cardboard. I really am disliking using cardboard because it always gives like a lumpy edge to it to actually get the initial shape. I'm aware that this is like the bottom here, but I needed this. Just this shape was really hard to get because the piece of plywood didn't sit up against the ceiling. Anyway, managed to do that. Scribed it onto here, and it's kind of like a nice perfect fit. It's snug, but that's where we want the cabinet to finish. So I guess I could just trim that rather than scribing it again. A bit of glue and 2 screws later. Well, okay, we glued. In fact, that plate has probably got more screws than this batten.
Yeah. See, you could build the overhead cupboards kind of as a separate unit outside and then come in and bolt it all up, but we thought we kind of build it into everything because we don't need them to ever come out again, and it'd be easier to get a more precise fit, and it should be stronger.
Also,
that way.
Less wood, I guess.
Yeah, it should be less wood.
So you're not building a secondary back and things.
So yeah, so that would be the bottom corner of the units, and then obviously they start to need a bit more fleshing out.
Probably put another batten at the back. Probably not quite on the back itself, but on the bottom back here. Yes. It's a lot of glue. 2 battens. This one's just glued at the moment. Going to prepare for screwing. But to get this level, basically I had to use a piece of plywood and then put the spirit level on it. Because this edge here is the only edge that's actually going to touch the plywood because it angles slightly backwards. Cut out the plywood to go on the base, and then Brett's. It hasn't routed this channel.
We didn't have a router, and I didn't want to buy one because
it's expensive.
They're expensive. So I cheated and used the
circular saw.
Big circular saw and just done a really shallow cut a lot of times. Got this channel that we can then sink the aluminium strips into, which will then have LED strips in them for under the cabinet lighting, and it will all look very nice.
Very posh.
Hopefully. We've got the front face of the frame in, so this is going to go up. Just trying to work out how to have the frame so the cupboards finish on the outside of the bottom edge, but it's got to have a strip above the cupboards. So that's got to sit further out, so the cupboard doors will sit sort of there, and then there'll be a strip of batten above that, but then the gap's a bit bigger than that, so then we needed a strip of plywood to fill that gap, and just getting all the different depths at the right so that it finishes all nice and smooth, hopefully. Are you sure this is straight?
Oh, I did 80 centimetres from there and 80 centimetres from here. Depends where you stand. Like, it very much.
You won't see it when the doors are down. Can you take it over?
So,
Right, I do.
well, they're in. They're not 100% finished, so still need to put the door faces on them. That was part of the problem. I was trying to get it flush to this bit here, so the edge of it would come to here. So this pattern's gonna stick out a little bit, but the two doors will sit sort of side by side here, and then lift upwards, and then come back down. So this spacer up here is kind of so that the whole thing could sit a little bit lower, to make the cupboards big enough. And then down here, this is the channel that Brett dug out and then laid the aluminium strip in there, and that's for a little under cabinet light to live in there, just to illuminate us while we're sitting on the bench, which will be down here somewhere. You are very nice. Beautiful.
So thanks for watching the van build little mini series. It's not quite how we wanted it, but it is what it is. It's a story of how we built the van to this stage. Moving on from this video, we're going to start back on the van life vlogs. So we are back on the road full time in the van. It is lockdown, so we're not getting to travel quite as much as we want, but we're still moving around little bits and trying to deal with van life, full-time van life during the lockdown. But it's definitely changed a few things that we do, and it's definitely changed a lot of our plans that we had for what we were going to be doing. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.